Hey guys, just one sec, okay? I'm checking something here on Zoom. Um, now, okay, that's there, okay. So I just need to do something here. Okay, all right, great. Right, where's my Zoom window gone now? Okay, there it is. Oh, my video was not on. Sorry. Okay. Hey, good morning. Good to see you all. Okay. Fantastic. And I've been looking at the activity of some of you on the forums. This is really cool. I played Namrata's game. Who else? A bunch of other people posted. Hana, where's Hana? Yeah. Played your game too. Really cool. Hey, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I looked at Jay's question. Where the hell is Jay? Jay and some other. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to wait a little bit longer. Okay, it's only 8:02. So here's what I'm going to do. Now, I know there's a bunch of you who already know some of the stuff that we're covering in class, and they can do some more, some more involved stuff like we've been doing, like Namrata and Hana, they've been coding stuff, Omar. So I know but my feeling is that technically I don't have to teach these guys, okay? Because, they're just here to, they already know most of the stuff and they need some check mark, okay? However, there'll be some interesting stuff we can do together, but that will have to wait until the rest of the class is up to speed, okay? So it's no fun just taking, the people who are up in front, they can march with me and the rest of them, go to hell. No fun at all, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to set up a separate Zoom class. Well, not some Zoom. No, it's not a class. Okay. So I'm going to set up a separate Zoom session. And right now, so that you don't have to manage your time and all. And, is that a good time for me? No, it's going to be 8 a.m. Tuesday and Thursday, as long as it's needed. It'll be simultaneous. Okay. With this class, another session. And I think that those of you who want to do some of the more, or, who don't want to do the basic stuff that we're going to be doing in class. It's not basic, by the way, okay? I'm just saying, just a little bit of speeding up to make everybody catch up, and then we can all move as a block after that, okay? So until such time as that happens, we'll have these two sessions proceeding in parallel. And the guys who want to do, hack around, like take Namrata's program or Hannah's game and add some more bells and whistles, or come up with something new even, and form bunches and work on your own. That's all fine. I'll do another session, okay? And you can just click on that link. I'll share that link in Zoom. Maybe you can just refresh. Not now. I'll have to set it up. And after you refresh, you can just click on it and join. You don't have you can excuse yourself from this meeting and go into that other one and to work with your classmates so that you can work on stuff and without interfering with the regular class that's going on here. And then in the regular class, those of us who are still trying to, nail the basic concepts, right? So here's the thing. This is what I find with many programming languages. The basic concepts are actually quite easy. It just takes a little bit of remembering. Just anything. It's basics are always anything, music or whatever it is. The basics are easy, but it takes remembering. So for learning the basics, all you need is just perseverance. Okay, there's not a lot of understanding because the basics are just remembering stuff. The understanding comes when you start putting these things together, and that is the later part. Okay, so but unfortunately I find, hey Jay, yeah, welcome. Okay, I was just talking about you, and we're going to do some stuff that will be easy for everyone. I saw your post in the forum, okay, and that is the reason I'm making these changes today in class. Okay, so yeah, so to do the it's not really yeah, so a lot of computer science students, I think what happens is that is they look at the basic stuff, which is actually not hard. It is easy. It just takes time to remember. Okay, and they say that's not for me because I don't have the time, I don't have the luxury of spending uninterrupted cycles on this or whatever it is. I have all these competing priorities, and they say it's not for me. However, what's going on there is a real pity, because they are saying that this incredibly juicy field out there with lots and lots of stuff where I can do stuff easily. Okay, so once you get past the basic stuff, the rest of it is actually pretty straightforward. It's just logical thinking, which you've been doing all your life. And people say, that's not for me, I can't do it. Well, although you've been doing it all your life, everything you do, you've actually been thinking logically and doing stuff ever since you were a kindergartner, right? But people say, that's not for me, I can't do it because I can't learn this. This is just, the basic stuff is just memory. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Lots and lots of that repeatedly, so that is all nailed in. And once that's nailed in, you see, you got a new language. It's like saying I can't learn Chinese because it's got tones and all these other things, and it's really complex. But then if you think about it, once you get past the basic stuff, which is remembering what these things are, and you don't have to remember the entire Chinese dictionary of millions and millions of words. You just need to know the basic stuff that you need to put together to understand the bigger stuff, right? And then you say, well, you know what? Everybody's a human. Everybody's thinking exactly like me, right? They're just using a different language. That's all. Okay. You give them a problem, they're just going to think logically, just like everybody else. But you can't say, well, those people are not logical at all because they're using completely different language. No, nobody says that, right? Because everybody thinks like a human. Everybody thinks, that's what we do all the time. The trick is to not confuse the opening the door with what's inside. Lots of people confuse the thing and say, I can't open the door, so there's nothing for me inside the building. No, that's wrong at all. That's completely wrong, isn't it? So you just have to say, well, opening the door is a little hard, but I'm going to open it somehow, because once I go in, that's it, I'm set. Okay, so that's the attitude that will help us in anything that we learn. So that's what we're going to do. So give me like 2 minutes. I'll just set up a parallel Zoom session. How about we call it 2A hackers? Okay, we'll call it 2A hackers, so that those of you who don't want to and by the way, just because you're going to the other meeting doesn't mean you're going to miss this class. Okay, this is recorded, as you know, so you can always come back. Adults are also said she wants to do both of them, right? And so you can go to the other one and then watch this on video. Yeah, it's all there. So nothing is lost. Now, I'll make sure that's also recorded, so that people who are stay behind in this class can also look at what their classmates are doing, hacking in that other thing, and when the bunch of you go to that other section, the other Zoom session, and start hacking, just try, at least one of you should take the lead and trying to make sure it's interesting for someone who will watch later on, right? So just keep yeah, here's the thing that will turn people off. If we're all hackers, we're going to hack, and then just hacking, and nobody can see anybody's screen, and you only look at people looking at their keyboards, that's really boring. Nobody's going to watch the video, right? So as you are in that other thing, and it doesn't come naturally, that's why I want to say that, especially if you've not done this before. If you're coding in a group, be vocal coding, and also maybe talk about jokes, whatever it is. Just keep the airways occupied, ask questions, and try to involve everyone and ask questions and have fun. Having fun is the best way to get other people to also have fun, right? If you say, we're all going to have fun, come and join us, nobody will come and join you, right? You're not having fun, we're not going to come and join you. The best way, and if you're not having fun and you want other people to join you, you got to invest a lot in marketing. You got to blow a lot of money into advertising, saying, well, we are going to have fun in 5 days, please come and join us. You got to have, but if you're having fun, that's your advertising. That's your automatic, self advertising, no cost at all, no cost advertising. If you're having fun, because people will say, I want to have what she's having, right? Okay, so everybody will come and join you automatically without spending a single dollar on advertising. And so the trick is to have fun, and also make sure that other people know you're having fun. Okay, and then you'll find that more and more people start leaving my section, my Zoom session, we're recording these basic stuff, and say, hey, I'm disappearing. And eventually there's just 2 of us, right? And the final person says, okay, I that's enough of you on, and I'm going to the other group. And then I'll say, I'm also coming to the other group. Okay, so I'll do that. How about, is that okay? Is that okay? That way, I think we'll cover will cover, everybody. I don't want to leave anybody behind. Okay, that is no fun for me at the end of the day, because people, yeah, you'll know that too, I think, eventually. Okay, so give me 2 seconds. I'm not going to stop the video and all. You guys carry on your conversation. I'll just move over to the my browser and set up the Zoom session. And when it's done, I'll come back here and say refresh your Zoom screen, so you'll see that link. You can click on it and go. Okay, all right, just give me a sec. Schedule a new meeting. All right, so I'll call this 2A Hackers. Okay, 2A Hackers meetup. How about that? Okay, and then this would be 8 a.m. 8 a.m. 2 hours. Recurring meeting. We'll cancel it, when we need to. Weekly on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, good. Okay, no passcode. Please don't share the link. Okay, I'm going to remove the passcode and waiting room and the security. So if you share the link, then anybody can join, right? Anybody out there can join. Well, obviously you can invite other people to join, but who are not in our class. So you can do that. But you have to be responsible for them. So if they come and create a ruckus, and then most of our paying students have to leave class or things like that, it'll be a mess. And then after that, I have to recreate the meeting, because I can't go back and, well, maybe I can reset the, right? Enable join before host. Okay, that's good. No passcode. Record the meeting in the cloud. Okay. All right. Great. The one thing I found with Zoom is that when I record something in the cloud, there we go, it's all there. If I record something in the cloud, where's my other Zoom window going now? Hey, where are you guys? Oh wow, I've lost. There you go. Right. So if I record something in the cloud, I found that there is no option to automatically record in gallery mode. Like now, are we in gallery mode? Everybody should be able to see everybody. Yeah. So it says it's gallery mode. Everybody can see everybody. But if I record in the cloud, Zoom doesn't give me an option to record in gallery mode. So it only shows the active speaker at any time. And I don't know why that's the case. It's probably a bug or an oversight on the programmer's side, because technically they have all the feeds coming in, right? They have, if you have 20 tubes from each of your computers, they have all of it. And in fact, they are using some backend algorithm to just stitch things together. When I say, get me that video, they're going to stitch things together and give it to me. So they could do that. So they're not doing that because of an oversight maybe, and nobody's complaining. So anyway, so just keep that in mind. So that way you have to keep speaking, okay? If you don't talk in that other meeting, you won't even show up on screen. And that's, yeah, all right. So, all right, so the Zoom link should be active now. If you refresh your Zoom, Foothill Zoom, not calendar. The Canvas calendar is broken for a long time. I don't think they've fixed it, or at least I don't know how to use it. Okay, let me put it that way. And so don't click on the calendar links. Just click on the left nav bar. It says Foothill Zoom, and then you should see 2A Hackers. Yeah, do you just 2A Hackers? Yeah. All right. Good. All right. So just click on it. You should be able to join that meeting. It starts recording automatically. It's in the cloud. And then once you're in the meeting, leave this meeting. Well, you don't have to leave this meeting, but then you'll have 2 audio feeds coming in, and it'll be confusing and all, I think. So you can feel free to leave this meeting, and I can look at the other meeting, right? So later on today, maybe if I have some time, I'll watch the recording, and I'll be able to see some of the cool things going on in that other classroom. Then I'll know, right? Oh, when these guys catch up, or maybe I'll bring back some of that to this class and say, hey, you know what? Some of your hacker friends are working on this. Do you know how they're doing this? I'll show you how to do this. Okay, I can show these guys this, and then when they migrate to your channel, they'll be able to see it too. Hey, you know what? We talked about this in class. All right, so it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. And in fact, you can what you can do in that other section is start working on something, but don't start every class. Don't do. It's only a suggestion. You don't have to do it. Maybe you have to do new projects every time. Like Omar brings an idea on Tuesday. Maybe Karthik brings another idea on Thursday, and they start working on different things. But try over time, maybe, right? Try to pick one thing that has scope for getting better and better and bigger, so that by the end of this quarter, you actually have a program with many different things in there. And it's actually doing some really cool, sophisticated stuff, right? That you are able to share on, places like Stack Overflow, Reddit, anywhere, right? So you say, hey, on Git, and say, hey, we did this over a course of 10 weeks in class. A bunch of us got together, people, came in and out, lots and lots of programmers, and we did this. So that will have scope for developing and getting into something bigger. Although, I understand that in 2A, it's slightly harder because you are trying essentially in 2A, really, it's just practice, right? 2A is just a practice ground where you have different skills and then little programs that will only focus on that skill, right? So IO, we're going to do lots and lots of programs with IO, looping, lots and lots of programs with looping. So, it's harder to tie them all together. I don't know, maybe this is possible. But it 2B and other classes, or even after week 6 in 2A, you'd be able to, one of you in the hackers group would be able to say, hey, I have this idea for a program. Is anybody game? We can do this together. And maybe another person has an idea too. Then you can split into 2 groups. You can have 2 different groups. Don't go into breakout rooms, because if you go into a breakout room, that doesn't get recorded in Zoom, I think, right? So if you have 2 different groups, just let me know. I'll set up 2 different meetings. It's very simple, right? And then you'll have 2 different meetings. You have 2A hackers 1, 2A hackers 2. You can have many number of groups, and then each group can work on one thing. And within that one thing, you can also say, hey, you know what, Hana, can I work on this? Omar, can I work on that? So you can basically split it up and even bounce things around, saying, hey, I worked on this and I got it to this place. You want to take it over, and and I'll work on yours. You can exchange. It'll be like peer review, right? When you start programming, is pair programming out there in the industry. That depends on how much the companies concerned have money, right? If the companies startups out there have enough of a what do they call it, runway enough money in the bank, they'll say, well, we're going to do code review. Every piece of code that goes out needs to be reviewed by 2 other people, or things like that. Well, if there's not enough runway, they'll say, well, every piece of code that goes out has to be reviewed by 1 other person, right? And then eventually they say, well, you got to be really, really careful. If you had to review your code 5 times, you could get fired. Okay, so all of those things tend to happen out there. But here in 2A, you could basically say, we're just practicing everything, including code review. So let's say Omar and Karthik decide to do 2 parts of the same program, and say, well, I'm going to do this, you could do this. After about 20 minutes, we'll exchange, right? And then I'll look over your code, you look over my code, and we can ask me questions, and we can do modifications to either, right? All of that will be really, really cool. And these are all solid skills to build up, so that when you're out there actually working for a big company, and they say, well, you're done, okay, just do the review and pass it on to the release manager, okay? You know exactly what they're talking about. And say, this is what I need to do, right? So and you'll actually hit the ground running, ground running, not round running, right? Ground running. What is it called? Round running. It's called spoonerism. Right? That's it's called a spoonerism. Okay, a spoonerism is when the initial letters. We can actually do a program. All right, we can do a program. Maybe you'll do a program. You guys can do a program, right? So give me a word, and we'll give you a spoonerism of the word. Okay, like if I said well-oiled bicycles, right? Well-oiled bicycles. And you could take the initial syllables and switch it around. Say well-oiled bicycle, well-boiled icicles, right? So because what's the other one that Spooner is famous for? You're always missing at my history lessons, right? And he used to say, you're always hissing at my mystery lessons. So those are really cool things, isn't it? So you can do all those in programming. So that maybe that's another thing you could do too, right? And fun. And it's possible to do that, actually, because all you have to do is switch the syllables around, and then you have to take the word that the resultant word and check if it's a regular dictionary word. That's all, right? So you can just load a dictionary up. Well, maybe you don't. You have to do a binary table, a binary search, or hash table before that. But that's possible, right? You just have to generate a word, and then you have to check if the word is a legit word. And then if it is, it's a spoonerism. That's all, right? So that'll all be cool. So lots and lots of things for you to do, right? So here is your chance to take off if you want. Maybe it's just me and a couple of people here left. That's fine, all right? I don't care, because most of you I know are going to be in the other room, right? And by the way, okay, I'm going to ask. Maybe I'll ask Michaela today. Michaela is a librarian, and we have rooms in the library library or adjacent to the library, which have, state-of-the-art Macs, all online, and it's out there, right? It's when you come out of the library facing the fountain, there's this big room on the left where you have all these things. And I'll ask her if that room can be opened up at 8 a.m. so that people can actually go to class and sit in that room, and you could all have a classroom experience, and you can all also have your Mac speakers full volume, because it's all the same audio, right? So nobody's going to be confusing each other. It'll look like stereo. You hear the same thing from both sides, right? So and you too, right? So you can have that experience there, and it's nice, right? It's nice and it's warm, climate control, and you have coffee and everything nearby. Well, it's coffee in the STEM center, but it's not far away. Cookies, and so it'll be nice. So you can go to class, especially as the days are getting longer and it's approaching spring. It'll be nicer out there. Because that area is a very nice part of Foothill campus, right? Because there's a fountain out there and everything. So you can go there, sit there, and have a group experience in class. Okay. So all right. So those of you who want to go to the other section, just raise your hand, and you can just take off, right? So you can just make like a tree and leave, as they say, right? So you can just say, I'm going to go, right? So take off, and the rest of us will remain here, and we're going to be coding stuff until everybody in my class, right? Not in your class, okay? Everybody in my section feels totally, utterly comfortable with C++, okay? Just getting comfortable. That's the hard part, okay? Because people say it's hard. No, it's just getting comfortable. Anything first is not comfortable because it's not what you're used to. You just have to get we're going to get comfortable here, okay? And get to know everything and be right. So everybody wants to go can take off, okay? And just raise your hand and go, right? Unless there's nobody here. And then that meeting would be I set it up and it's a total waste. Here, this is what we're going to do today. And I can tell you what we're going to do today. And if you think it's going to be boring, you just take off, okay? We're just going to do basic expressions, okay? We're going to do expressions and put parentheses and look at the result. And then move the parentheses and look at the result again. And then basic input, output, input into a variable, output, and then buffering and see what happens. And without the endl, with the endl, and then /r versus /n, what happens. We're just going to do a lot of those experiments and just see what's going on and get an intuition and get a really, really solid feel for how we can actually start coding in C++. Because getting started is apparently the hardest part for lots of people, right? Just like in English essays, right? Getting started is the hard part. Once you get started, the words will just start flowing. So we're just going to go over starting troubles in my class. All right, until everybody's over. Why is nobody gone? Okay, and there's only and there's not a lot of people here. Why is it? And it's 8:23. Why? Where are the rest of the people? So you got to get in touch with your classmates, whether it's Discord and all these other channels that you are linked up in. Tell them they got to attend class. They either have to be in class or they have to be in the hacker session, one of the hacker sessions. Okay, if they're not in if they're not in either of those, then participation points could get seriously affected. So just let them know. All right. All right. Hey, and you Young, hey Matt, you have two cameras? I thought I saw two of you before. Matt. No, all right. You switch up camera. All right. Great. Charlene, you should also switch on your camera. Okay. Charlene. Who wants to go? Who wants to go to the other class? It'll be wasted. I mean, it's not a waste. Like I didn't spend a whole lot of time setting it up. It's just a Zoom configuration. But still, some of you should go because otherwise, I think you may be feeling bored in this class. Okay, because I know, right? Some of you have been doing stuff that I'm expecting to only come out in week 5. Okay, so you're going to be feeling bored if you're sticking around here. All right, you can complain later on. I'm not going to be offended. You're not going to get docked points or anything for leaving class. Okay, please, if you want to do some more cool stuff, go right. Take off and go, and we'll do the stuff here. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's only me and a couple other people here. Okay, I'm going to talk. I'm going to start talking our class now, and then those of you who want to go can go. Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Now, I'd like, if possible, Jay, are you okay with sharing your screen today?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Great, okay. So I'm going to go, Jay and I are going to code some stuff to do with accepting input, adding stuff together, and so on and so forth. And so do you guys want to do that too? Yeah. Okay. Right. So after Jay, how about someone else want to? Who else wants to take the screen after Jay? Right. It's assuming that we're we get 2 people a chance to go today. Who else wants to go today? So we have already a plan. But who else wants to go? Right, Matt. Okay. All right. So for Jay and then Matt, we have 2 people lined up already to go today. All right, Jay, whenever you're ready, share your screen. Let's just go to online GDB or cpp.sh, one of those online sites for now, and we will start coding something simple. Yeah. Hey, is this? Hey, Jay, is this is this a private browser or is this a non-private browser?
Oh no, let me do that. Sorry.
Yeah. Great. Okay, and this was the blue part, and this was the blue part and all. I think that less than sign in the middle of the screen is the thing you need to click. You need to click the less than sign in the blue part. No, the less than sign in the blue part of the screen.
Oh, this.
You click it, yeah. All right, good. So great, excellent, fantastic. All right, so here's how we do the very first basic C++ program. You know what? I should change my glasses. Hang on just a sec, okay? Yeah, that's better. Okay, so the program and everybody should feel free to ask me any question about anything that imagine that you're doing this on your own and for a question or for whatever it is, and then you say, I'm going to write a program. I got to type hash include IOStream. Why do I do that? Why, right? This is the time to ask. Okay, anytime we do something that you're not sure of, you should just ask, and then we can take it from there. All right. So what we're going to do is at the top of the program. Oh, by the way, put the comments there, 2 forward slashes, and say class code for what is today's date? 20, 23, 24, 20, 24. All right. Yeah, 20 for 24. All right, great, excellent. All right. So and then on the next line, let's say we're going to play around with basic operations today. Right? Let's say you can put a comment there saying we'll just play around. We're going to play around and experiment with lots of basic operations. Play around, yeah. Experiment with basic operations. Okay, great. Right. So now on the next line, you can say hash include. Yeah, that's fine. Great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, all right. Hash include IOStream. Now, IOStream is a library of stuff that helps you with doing IO, input and output. So that's what's called IOStream, and it's a stream library. A stream is something that is buffered. Okay, a stream is not instantaneous. That's why it's called IOStream. Input, output, stream, buffered. Okay, and there's different kinds of buffering. One of them is called line. Well, we'll talk about it later when we're doing cout and so on and so forth. Okay, and then one blank line under that, and then you say hash include, not hash include, right? Blank line, and you say using namespace standard. Okay, using namespace standard. What that does is basically set us up so that all of the variables that have been declared in the IOStream library, they're actually not what let's say you have a variable called, we'll take a standard variable. Cout is a variable, okay? Cout is a variable. It's an object that has been created for you in the library. It already exists. However, the name of that variable is not cout. We're just using cout, left shift cout, and right. The variable is not called cout. The variable is actually called std:\cout. Okay, that is the full name of the variable. Like, Omar is not Omar, it's Omar Rivera. Okay, so you can say the 10 Omars in the room and I say, Omar, come here, you got to do this thing. You say, which Omar? Okay, no, Omar Rivera. Okay, he's the one who wrote that graphic thing, right? Who created the graphic, and so that's extra qualification is standard. However, it's a pain to every time I want to talk to Omar, I don't want to say Omar Rivera. It's really a pain for me, right? I just say Omar because I know in this 2A, Omar 2A is a namespace. All right. So in this class, Omar Rivera is the only Omar. So when I say to Omar, I don't have to say 2A is Omar here. Just like that, when we're programming, we say, that a variable called cout, it's been defined in the IOStream library, and I'm going to use it lots and lots of times. So I don't want to say, oh, standard cout because it's a pain. I'm just going to say cout and it's automatically, right? So that's what it is. So standard namespace, you say that, you don't have to say std : every time you want to say cout. This compiler will automatically check. Does that make sense, Jay? Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Okay, excellent. Now let's start our main. So a couple of blank line under that, and you say int main. Anything here that is confusing to anyone, you should just feel free to ask, okay? Because now we can go into any depth with these things, with the basic stuff, because the advanced people are not going to feel bored because they're here of their own choice, okay? They decided to stay. All right. So anybody can ask any question. I can go into any level of depth. We have this entire week to do all these things, okay? Next week, we can start going further down the track, okay? All right, so now we can say space, curly brace, yeah, all right, enter. Okay, here's where the bulk of our program is going to go. Now let's do a very basic program first, and you're going to do this on your own. I'm not going to say anything. You want to print, let's say, hi, my name is Jay, okay? Say hi, name, yeah, there you go, excellent. My name is Jay. Okay. All right, now, and then Endel. All right, okay, now this is a good time for me to say what is the stream, what the stream, all right? So why is it called a stream? There's different kinds of buffering because sending things to the screen is expensive, right? And I like saying this before, many times I've said this before, is that anything that involves talking to humans is really expensive, right? If you want to talk to humans, you got to jump through hoops because the computer is the CPU is operating in warp space, right? Star Trek is huge difference, orders of magnitude. It's out there. It can't even fathom how slowly humans think, right? If a CPU looks at humans, we're all looking like stone statues, right? We're not even moving, just like that, right? That's how it is. So when it needs to talk to us, it needs to slow down considerably. And then it's slowing down is really boring for the CPU because it can do things really fast. And therefore, what it does is that anytime you need to talk to a human, it'll say, well, this is what you want to talk to say to a human, give it to me. And I won't do it now because, telling them this one sentence is going to take me a long time and it's a waste. So I'll hang on to it. Give me lots and lots of stuff. When I have enough to send to the human, or when I have a signal that what you have needs to be sent to the human, even though it's just one word that needs to be sent to the human, I need a signal, then I'll flush. That is what cout.flush is. There is a command called flush for cout, which will say, if it's in the buffer, send it out. So there's three kinds of buffering, okay? One is called line buffering, okay? Line buffering means that, and line buffering is what these cout and all these streams do by default, okay? The streams do line buffering by default. Line buffering means I won't send anything to the screen until I get an end of line signal, okay? If I get an end of line, I'm going to send. So that means if you get a /n at the end, that'll flush the buffer. Or you could say endl. Endl also flushes the buffer, right? They're both end of line signals. /n, not always, maybe sometimes, right? I think there's some you have to Google and find out, but endl guaranteed to flush. There's another kind of buffering called block buffering, okay? Block buffering is typically used when you want to send stuff to a file. Now, even when I said before that talking to humans is a right pain for a CPU, not just humans, right? Talking to even static media, right? Anything that is storing stuff persistently, permanently, like a hard disk, even that is a pain for a CPU because a hard disk is mechanical, isn't it? Hard disk is mechanical, at least in the historical past, okay? It's mechanical, and even with non-mechanical storages like in SSDs, okay? I think there is a delay. It's not like writing to memory. RAM is really fast, but writing to SSDs, I think there are some delays due to hysteresis and all these electromagnetic phenomena that slow down the way in which, how long the pulse has to be applied before it sticks, right, to the transistors and so on. So talking to any persistent media is a pain as far as CPU. So even when talking to a hard disk, if you send data, lots and lots of data to the hard disk, even then it'll buffer. Because if you talk to the hard disk through a stream, it'll buffer. And the reason for that is because the CPU could say, right, you want me to send all this to the hard disk and save it? right? You want me to send it byte by byte? No, don't do that, please, because talking to the hard disk is a real pain, and you're asking me to send 1 byte at a time to a hard disk, even though the hard disk is, humans are, if I'm the CPU in Fremont, the humans could be somewhere far away in the Andromeda galaxy, right? So if I say talk to humans, it got to go all the way to the Andromeda galaxy and talk to them and come back. So this is a real pain. But talking to hard disk is still not, my hard disk is not right here, right? My hard disk is still, far out. It's probably somewhere near a Safeway or Trader Joe's, okay? Compared to from the CPU's perspective, it's not, even that is not close by. It's out there. So even when I say write something to the hard disk, it still has to go there, write it and come back. So that is also a pain. It's not like going all the way out to a different galaxy, but it's still, going out there. So even talking to a hard disk will be buffered by default, okay, when you talk through a stream. However, the buffering there is slightly different. It's block buffering. What block buffering does is that it'll continue filling in the buffer until it gets to a certain massive size. I don't know, maybe it's 1024 bytes, or I don't know, 10 kilobytes. I don't know what the number is. You can Google and find out. Block buffering will fill up the buffer until the buffer gets full. It will not write. Right, when the buffer is full, then it'll flush and it'll start. It's just like the toilets, right? The toilets. I think if you open the thing and the lid and look in, the water level keeps raising and it won't flush, right? But when the water level crosses a certain point, then everything will flush altogether. And that's why it's called flush, right? Even Cout, it's called Cout. But flush is that the buffer will start getting fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller. It won't flush to the disk. But when it hits the 1024 bytes in the buffer already, okay, that's the buffer is full. Now everything gets flushed to the disk, and then the buffer is empty all over again. So that is called block buffering. So there's 2 kinds of buffering, and they're both useful in different contexts, right? When you're writing to disk, block buffering is better, and that's why you should never write. And the final kind of buffering is called unbuffered, okay, unbuffered. And I actually don't know, right? I don't know if it is possible to do unbuffered output and input in C++ without the use of certain specialized libraries. It's possible using specialized libraries, but in native C++, I don't know if it's possible. In native C, also it's not possible, but you can use a library called Curses, right? Curses that lets you do unbuffered input and output. That is how you have all these editors like VI, Vim, and all those guys. Single character strokes get reflected on the screen, even without the editors. How do editors work? A single character gets reflected. How does the CPU get to see the single character even though you didn't press enter, right? That means that the communication is unbuffered between the editor and the screen. So so that's unbuffered. So the final kind is unbuffered IO, right? And we'll get a chance to use, I don't know, maybe we won't get a chance in 2A. But unbuffered is what you'll do when you want to do interactive stuff. When you say, I want to read each character as it comes directly, immediately, without having to wait for the user press end of line. So that is unbuffered. So we will only deal with buffered IO in CS2A, okay? Meaning we have to wait for the end of line, right? The one other situation where the buffer is flushed, as we saw before, is that even if you didn't have an end of line character or a /n, it'll still flush the buffer if the next statement is reading from the user, okay? When you read from the user with a cin left right shift, then also the library has a signal saying, hey, they're trying to read from the user, so let's make sure that everything they told the user before has already been shown to them, right? Because otherwise there's no point in reading from the buffer if you haven't asked them a question. So that's another heuristic decision made by the library to say, well, 2 situations when I'll flush the buffer in line buffering is when I get an end of line character or endl character, or when the user is trying to read from the user. The program is trying to read from the user. Okay, it's 2 different situations. Okay, now how about now run it, Jay, and let's make sure we get the output, right? And now let's do one more thing from that after that. Now, great. Okay, so Jay, are you totally comfortable with that so far?
Yes.
Okay, now, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right. So here's let's do something now. All right. Now, let's say that you want to ask the user for a number. I'm just if you guys can think of a better thing, you should anyone should let me know, because I'm just pulling things out of thin air here. Okay, thinking on the fly. This is what I'm thinking we should do. You could say, hey, no, let's do something more interesting and propose an idea. We'll do that. So I'm thinking we'll get the user to type in a number, and we have to do something with the number and print out the result. Oh, maybe we'll get the user to type in. Yeah. All right. So here, actually, this will actually have scope for some. It'll have you have some instruction in here, useful instruction. Okay. Let's get the user to type in 2 numbers. Actually, let's get the user to type in 3 numbers. Okay. Let's get the user to type in 3 numbers, and then you have to calculate the maximum of those 3 numbers and print them out. Okay, which of the 3 numbers is the biggest? And you say, hey, of the 3, this was the biggest. That's all you have to do. Is that a reasonable thing to do, Jay? Because that'll also kind of tie into one of the later quests you have to do. Except in the later quest, I think maybe is it J or something like that. I don't know. Right? You got to determine the maximum or minimum of 5 numbers. Okay, not 3, 5. Okay, 2 is easy, right? Because you got to say which is greater. That's greater. But maximum of 3, you got to do slightly differently, and maximum of 5, even more differently. Okay, so we'll do that. So are we okay with this? Okay, great. Now, and we won't do it in functions and all. We'll do everything in main. So, Jay, here's what you're going to do. And I'm not going to be talking you through this unless you ask me, right? So when you're typing things, you can say, hey, Anand, can you tell me what to do? Or even if I'm not here, you can say, hey, let's call Anand, then let's see. Right, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to be here. So you can say, right. So you're going to ask the user, what is your first number? Then read the first number. Okay. Then ask the user, you got to ask 3 of those numbers. Read all 3 numbers into your own variables. You're going to read them all into your own variables. Then you're going to have a logic section in main, blank line, and a logic section and put a comment there saying, I'm going to determine the maximum of the 3 numbers. Okay. And then you determine the maximum. And then finally you say C out. This is the maximum of the numbers that were input. Okay, and that's all you're going to do. It's very simple. And now this may not work, and it'll fail in hopefully it will fail, right, in a way that I'm thinking it will fail. Okay, so if it does that, then we'll have a chance to say, hey, that is why it failed, and it'll save you from a gotcha later on when you're doing some other programming. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So Jay and other people can help you before I do. So what you want to do is start typing out a question. You can comment out the cout you have before, because you're going to be doing some new stuff now. Yeah, comment out line 19, or you can just get rid of line 19 too if you want. Just get rid of it, and then you want to say print the prompt, read a value. Print a prompt, read a value. So then you got 3, then you got a logic. You got out of these 3 numbers, I'm going to find the minimum and print out, or maximum, whatever it is, right? Or average. No, not average is easier. Okay, so you got to do minimum, maximum, and print it out. That's all. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'll just be here, and if you want me to help, I will absolutely help you. Other people can help too, right? So anybody can help. Charlene, are you here? Charlene? Okay, all right. So, all right. So on chat, right. So yeah, I can't, so chat only comes and goes, Charlene, I can't see it. You gotta be at least vocally present, talking, or your camera on. So if you're not talking, you got to have your camera on. Okay, otherwise we don't have any idea.
Put in a number.
By the way, Sharon, was that you who was talking? Someone said something. Okay, all right. Go ahead, Jay. If you're stuck, you should say I'm stuck. If you're stuck, you just say I'm stuck, and someone will help you. Okay. What do I do here? You can say, what do I do here? Yeah.
Yeah. So how do I store the number so I can, ask for the next one?
So right above, before we start our couts, I would make 3 variables, just so we have those 3 numbers. And you can name them 1, 2, 3, or ABC, whatever. And then for that, make sure if you're doing it inside the main function, make sure you have int in front of those to designate that they're going to be an integer.
I think it should be inside
Yeah,
the
you can't put it inside of main like
section,
that.
but not just int a, comma b, comma c. No need to have so many int.
Yeah, like if you initialize all in the same line, you just need one.
Yeah.
Like if they're all the same type, you can just do one and then use the comma values and end with the semicolon.
So now we have our three variables.
So then we can do the same, similar thing with like see out. We can ask, put a prompt, say, insert your first number, or you can just leave it blank. It's up to you. And then just put the variable. And whatever they input, it'll designate that variable.
So we put
Down on C in.
in CN. Yeah. Or it should be
You can just do A.
Yeah, since you only need to initialize it once.
only once. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we have all of them. Okay, so now we have our three variables that are going to be put in. And we wanted to add them. I don't remember what it was.
So we're trying to figure out the maximum of those. But one thing I like to do, and it kind of helps in the future, especially when we start making longer programs, is I would just print all three of these variables just to make sure that this whole set of code works. And that way we're not like, if we're trying to troubleshoot later on, then we don't have to go back and think about this because we've already tested it. So we could simply just do like at the very bottom, like a C out ABC.
Okay. Do they have to necessarily be in quotations? That would just print out ABC. So
Yeah, no, make sure they're out of quotation so it'll designate the variable.
so let's see if that works.
So with that, like with the C out with the variables, I don't think the comma operator works as it does in like parentheses. So I think you could just like C out and then variable and then use the left shift and then B and then like separate them with the left shift.
Left shift.
Yeah, and then if you want to like make it visually appealing, you have to do that yourself with the parentheses. So if you did that and you had like 1, 2, 3, the number that's going to pop out probably is like 123. Because like you have to be really explicit with what you tell the computer. So it's
Mhm.
like, and like, you know, I want to see some spaces in between these variables. So you have to like physically do everything yourself.
So I have to give it some spaces like this.
So like do the left shift A and then left shift again. And then quotation marks the space.
Left shift.
Left shift is like the 2 left arrow thingies. So
Oh my god, you're you're so right.
so like C out and then the 2 arrows and then an A.
Not these arrows, the other
No,
one.
no, the like the 2, yeah, that one.
This one.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. On the A. And then that and then do that again. Space. And then the quotation marks the space.
I understand now.
Yeah, make sure you put like a space in those quotation marks so it like you're like, I want a space here. Or a comma or whatever you want.
So that should give it space in between the three variables.
Yeah, and you're adding a space at the end of C, the C variable too, if you want that.
Oh, probably not.
And then just make sure we have a return at the very bottom there too.
There we go. Now it works. 2. Perfect. Now we have our 3.
All right, so that was literally just a test that I like to do. Some people don't necessarily have to do it, but it's helps boost your confidence if you do run into problems later. You know, you don't have to check over that area.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. So we want to determine smallest to largest, I think.
Now we can also make sure to comment out line 18 so that it doesn't end up coming up later, or we can just delete it altogether. It's up to you. But that's just your little test function.
Sort them from smallest to largest.
So there's a couple different ways that we could go about this. I think the most simple way is just doing a bunch of if-thens. And it kind of gets a little lengthy, especially if you're doing it with 5 numbers. But with 3, I think it would be relatively manageable.
Yeah.
So it's going to be if and then the parentheses, yeah. And we can just simply say if A is greater than B. Oh, actually, hold on. All right, someone needs to help me out here. Do we want to have 3 other variables so that we can set those like the max, min, and the middle? So for example, if we find out that A happens to be the maximum, then we can set max equal to A, and print that later.
I mean, we could, but then we could also just like, when we find the maximum, have just do the like in the statement what we want it to do, right? Wait, I forgot how I did this.
I think you can create a new variable and maybe call it max. So, or you can keep the if condition, but you create another variable before the condition. So maybe int max. Yeah, just initialize it, and then in your condition, so you have A is greater than B, then you can set max equals A,
So I would say if,
or you need curly bracket. Yep, and then
Oh, and we still have to compare it to C as well.
do we have to make a new if statement for that,
So-
or can we put it in the same one?
or
So
you
the-
can actually put like double and. So if A is greater than B and A is greater than C,
And you
So
can
it's
just,
two and symbols.
I think that
Oh,
works
just-
too,
What is
right?
it?
I think so.
I believe that it works as well if you just do a comma.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah,
think
comma.
so. I think that's just saying if both of those statements are true, then.
And then you need a semicolon after the max equals A.
So then we want to make another if statement.
Yep.
Right. And then we want to do it for B.
A, C. Max equal. Ooh. And then final one. So we have for A, B, and C. And we want to have it tell us so theoretically, when I put in the numbers, should it work at this point, or do we still need to add more statements?
I
I
believe
think
it should
oh.
work.
I think it would work if they were all different, but like if for some reason two or all three numbers were the same, like they're technically not like strictly greater than, right? Like two is not actually greater than two. So then like either you would have to like put equal signs when you're comparing, or just like because you know there's only three at the end, instead of having a third if, you could just do like an else because you know that's the only option left.
Okay, let's try having them all be different first. So let's start with 2, 4, and 1. So it is
we-
only having my max come out, but we wanted it to have all of them.
Did we?
Did we?
Wait.
I don't remember. But
Well,
yeah,
in the
that's
C
good.
out, in the bottom of the C out, you're just saying to print out the max number.
Yeah.
So
So we need to.
Yeah, we can make it look a little prettier.
Yeah.
More information.
So
So in the C out, you could like add like a number, like a words to be
what
like,
we also
your
want.
max number is, just so you can see what's going on.
Is max.
And like at the end of the is, add a space because it'll just,
Other unders. Alright.
Wait, so are we just doing max of 3 or are we doing?
I think we should have all of them.
Okay.
We also
Um,
wanted minimum, didn't we? Because we know we can tell it what to find the max, but we aren't telling it to find the minimum. So how would we ask it to also sort it into a minimum? Do you have to make a whole another
yeah.
set of this?
yes. Because like
Okay.
so basically what we're trying to do with like functions or main, like in the main is like you have to explicitly say what to do in each step unless you have other methods that can make that faster, but like you're still explicitly say like, this is A, do this with A, I want this with B, and so forth.
Can do
And the funny thing is as we get progress in C++, each block of like finding the max or finding the min goes down to 1 line of code.
Yeah, there's functions that do all this, but we're doing it ourselves.
doing it the long way. And so let's see. Theoretically, that should work. Under 2, 5. That's not right. My max is 5 and my minimum is 5. That's not true.
Your last if statement, you gotta flip the size.
Oh my god. Better be right this time. There we go. Now it's doing it right. My max is
Alright.
5.
And do you want to print the last one too?
Yeah, I guess for just including all of them.
So I guess we could continue with the if statements. In a sense where you're just checking to see what max and min are. So you could be like, if max is equal to A and min is equal to B, then
Then C.
you can make another variable just called rem or remainder. And then that would mean that C is equal to remainder, but this is going to have to be 6 if statements because max could be 3 different things and min could be 3 different things as well. So it's
Was there any
very,
way to make that shorter? Like, I think you said like we could use an else statement or something like that.
I'm gonna need some help on that one.
I
Without setting up an
don't-
array first, I don't think there is a way to make it shorter.
I don't think so, just because like your logic is evaluating, you have 3 numbers and each line of your logic is evaluating for only 1. So there's always going to be 2 other ones unless you add more logic into your expressions, right? Because if, and all of these, right, you're saying if A is bigger than B and A is less than B and A is less than C, then this is A. Then it's like you don't have anything about B or C to determine what you're looking for. So I wouldn't.
Hey, by the
use
way,
this.
guys, I actually don't know what a comma does there, because comma separates statements. Well, so what's going on there with a B less than A, comma, B greater than C, or B greater than A, comma? What is a comma doing?
Separating the, it's like an and. It's like saying and. If this,
Does it
And
function in the
this.
capacity of an and? Does it actually work like an and?
Yeah, it's just adding another expression to the if statement.
I don't know if it does that in C++.
I don't know if it does an and. It's just another expression, but I don't know if it does it in the capacity. Does the program work? Does the program work? Have you tried running it?
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, let's run it. I want to see what happens, and then I think it won't work, but maybe I'm wrong because I don't know what the comma would do in that context. I've never used it. Let's put it that way. Okay. Let's fix that.
Oh,
Where is it?
need to get rid of this.
Yeah. Okay. So run it now. Let's see.
So
Alright,
first number or 1, 6. Yeah, I think the comma does work as an and. It's doing what I asked it to.
All right. Okay. I don't know why that works because if B go to the first one or any of these really. So C greater than A greater than B, comma. So if the first one succeeds, then compare the second one, or what does it do? All right. I don't know what the comma operator does, and I would maybe it works, and maybe you can find out and use it later on. But let's use the more common conventional notation here, because I know, the only reason is that I know how that works, okay? The double ampersand for and. And also, if you don't mind, well, let's do this, all right? If A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then max equals A. Okay, so all right, to change all of the commas to ands, because I don't know, I'm not 100% sure that it works in all contexts, right? The comma, but you can do some research, all right? Here's a great topic for a post in the forums, okay? You could say, you could do a little bit of Google search and research, finding out where can I use a comma instead of an ampersand, double ampersand, and the conjunction, all right? And then you'll find a lot of articles and summarize that and say, hey, you know, in class today we used a comma where an ampersand, you know, an and should have gone, and it works. And here's what I found about this thing, okay? All right, so now this works, and after this works, I can show you ways in which you can refactor this program. Okay, refactoring is basically just rearranging things to make it shorter and things like that. Essentially, the logic is exactly the same. Most right, efficiency and logic, everything is exactly the same. We're just going to refactor it so it fits in within our viewfinder or view frame. Okay, so all right, so now does everybody understand this code, right? Essentially what Jay is doing is that if A is greater than both of the other numbers, then the max is A. If A is greater, or if B is greater than both of the other numbers, max is B, and so on. That's all, right? So he's done that. There are probably a few wasteful comparisons here, okay? And then we'll identify those now, or we can identify those or you know what? We'll comment out this whole thing, and we'll do the same thing using different formatting and slightly different layout, and possibly even slightly different logic. Okay, very slightly different logic. The efficiency is not going to change by a lot, but I think it'll actually slightly improve. So you can then compare the two and say, hey, you know what? There's two different ways of doing the same thing. And if everybody is okay with this program so far, and it does the min in the same way, good. All right. So and what is remainder? All right, you're not doing remainder. Okay, good.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna move on.
Yeah, all right, cool. All right, so if everybody is okay with this so far, I can now show you how you can comment this whole thing out, starting from, you can comment out the whole thing. You can leave the max and min, okay. All right, so we'll just reformat the whole thing, okay? We'll reformat the whole thing if you guys are okay. Yes or no? Yes? All right, great, okay. Now let's do a few things here. Now go to the top of the program again, and not the very top, right, inside of main. Let's clean up. Let's get rid of the see out hi, my name is Jay. Get rid of that. All right. Now, A, B, C, right? Make that the very first line, no blank line above that. And then on the same line as A, B, C, you say comma max, comma min, right? So we'll save a couple of lines there. Okay, good. Right now, a semicolon and a blank line after that. All right, C, N, A. Great, great, great. Okay. Okay, so let's all right. So we'll do what I have in mind first, and then we'll do that little modification, which will expose a slight issue with this code. The issue in the code will not show up right now. Okay, that's one of the things about maybe programming in general, or C++ especially, because there's a small issue that will not show. Doesn't show up here, and your program appears to work fine. But there is a problem which we'll run into later on, right? In about 5 minutes, I'll show you what the error is. Okay. Good. All right. So what is your first number? You read it in. Okay. All right. So now go to line 18, hit enter. All right. Now what we'll do here is open a block comment, or block comment is /star, right? And go to the end just before your print statement. Yeah. Now close it. All right. No, close it. No. Star and then a slash. And a blank line after that. No, forward slash.
No, forward slash.
Yeah. All right. So now that's been commented out. Now we're going to rewrite the same logic in a slightly different way. All right. So now we'll do what we do in science. Okay. What do we generally in science? Okay. Forget about computer science in general. What do we do in science? The whole business of science itself, whether it's physics or chemistry or whatever it is, what do? When we see something that we think is mysterious, we try and come up with an explanation. Yes. So the apple, you drop the apple, it falls. We say, hey, why does the apple fall? So lots of people come up with lots and lots of theories. One person says the apple falls because the apple is repelled by the sun or something like that, right? Many theories. Now, all of them are valid contenders before testing. Yes, because you haven't tested it, everything is possible. Someone could say there is an invisible person out there under the apple. They're pulling it down. Why? It's possible, right? So we don't know. Everything is possible. Now, how do we know which one is the right thing? Lots of people have come forth saying this is why the apple dropped to the ground. Okay, and Newton was one of those guys, right? And Newton said, well, the apple fell to the ground because it's an invisible force, right? That's not an invisible goblin, right? That the other person said. This is Newton is also saying exactly the same thing, right? Now, basically, first of all, I say Newton, but it's not really Newton. Every civilization, right? People have come up with incredibly, it's the same kind of theories, okay? It's just that we have this person to put a name on, and then we, one person we remember who did that recently, in the recent past, okay? So it fell down. So Newton's also there. He says, you know, it fell down because there's an invisible force that is attracting the apple to the, how do we know? How can we tell that I want to trust Newton, right? Not this other person who says there's an invisible goblin pulling the apple down, right? So two ways. One is basically how science works, okay? Science says, well, they're both there. Let's test them, right? If let's repeat the experiment and test it. And if the test is correct, then we know that this guy is right and that guy is wrong, right? So we're going to test it. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make a hypothesis. We're going to make many hypotheses. We're going to test them, right? So we're going to make a hypothesis saying, I'm going to make a hypothesis saying that A is the maximum. Now, right? A may not be the maximum. A could be 1, and you know, C could be 3. So C could be the maximum. But I'm going to make a hypothesis saying A is the maximum. So let's say max equals A right there. Max equals A. Yeah. All right. Now put a comment, semicolon, and a comment, right? And on the same line, right? On the same line, say you say initial hypothesis. Initial hypothesis is A is maximum. A is the maximum. Right? Okay. On the next line, you're going to check, right? If A is a maximum, then B can't be greater than A. Yes. So you're going to perform a test, right? So you're going to say, all right, Newton, here's your test. Right, so I'm going to test if your theory is right by looking at the orbit of Mercury. Right, Mercury's orbit, if your theory is right, has to be that, and it shouldn't swivel around and things like that. Okay, which, by the way, Newton's theory cannot explain. That's why we know today that Newton's theory, even though it works here on Earth, is not really the best theory, because there's a better theory. Einstein theory even explains why Newton's orbit, not Newton's orbit, the Mercury's orbit behaves in a particular way, but Newton couldn't explain that. Okay, so we're going to do a test and revise. Okay, that is the hallmark of science as opposed to nonsense and non-science. In non-science, a theory could be proposed, and someone could say, that theory, how can I make sure that theory is right or wrong? And that person could say, well, that's a theory. You can never test it. My theory has this unique property that you can never test the theory. Okay. If you can never test the theory, there's no way you can know it's true or false. Yes. So every theory that's put forward needs to have a way in which you can test it. That is the hallmark of science. Testability and repeatability. So we're going to say, my theory is A is a max, which means that if A is a max, I'm going to test it. And B should also be less than A. Every number should be less than A if A is a max. Now let me test A. So you're going to say if B is greater than A. Say if B is greater than A, and put spaces on both sides of the greater than. So right, if put spaces on both sides of the
spaces. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's much nicer, isn't it? It's easier to read, isn't it? No, not a no ampersand or anything. Yeah, that's it. We're only doing one test here. Okay, you're going to say if B is greater than A, then we change our theory. Another important hallmark of science is that when you have a theory that's been proven wrong by someone else, evidently, right? The evidence shows that is not right. A scientist is open-minded and says, yes, that you're right. Okay, I was wrong and you were right. I'm going to change my belief, right? Now you say, I'm going to say B is the max now, right? So now B is the max. So max equals B. No, you not say A equals max. You say B equals max now.
So a separate or inside of this?
No, that line. No, you said A equals max. If B is greater than A, B is the max now. You change theory. A is not the max anymore.
Okay, so
no, on the next line, on line 45. If B is greater than A, I'll explain that one more time. Okay. if on line 45, say B equals max, not A equals max. Now, I want everybody to be on the same page as far as the explanation goes. All we're doing there is that I started off with a hypothesis saying A is the greatest. Now I have B, and B can easily defeat A. Therefore, A is not the greatest. Yes or no? I started off saying A is the biggest, but now I find that B is bigger than A, which means that my original hypothesis that A was the greatest is wrong. Yes or no?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Now I can change my hypothesis. Again, we're doing exactly the same thing that science does, okay? Just because Einstein's theory disproved Newton's theory, right? This is because Einstein said this is how gravitation works. Newton said that's how it worked, right? And there was an experiment that Newton's theory couldn't explain. It was wrong, right? Because this was right. Therefore, we say Newton's theory is wrong, but we don't say Einstein's theory is right, okay? That's another very important distinguishing hallmark of science that even many scientists I find don't know, right? Professional scientists think that the theory they have is the true theory. No, the theory that you have is only the best contender you have at any time. Yes or no? So now we have a better theory. It's not the right theory, but it's better than the previous theory, okay? So we have a theory that B is better than A. So now we say so put a semicolon after max, right? And a comment later on, right? We say a comment, say we revised our hypothesis, right? Revised hypothesis to say that B is now the max. Now do the same thing with C. No, that's it, that's it. Yeah, in fact, you don't need the braces for the if statement, right? You can get rid of the braces. Yeah, get rid of the braces. There you go. Okay. Now, after the no, that has to be indented in. It belongs to the if, right? Now go to the end of the line, hit enter, right? And then one more time, maybe one more time. Oh, you don't have to do one more time, right? So you can now do the same thing as you did before. Now your hypothesis is that B is the greatest. You don't have to test A again because you know that A is less than B, but you have to test C because there is something out there that could be even bigger than C, right? Maybe there's another theory out there that's even better than Einstein's theory, because there's all said and done. At the end of the day, Einstein's theory does not explain everything. Yes, Einstein's theory explains things where Newton's theory is lacking, but Einstein's theory fails to explain some things at the quantum level. Yes. So we want to have a better theory. So we say, Newton was wrong, but Einstein is not right. Einstein is better than Newton. That's all we know. So we hold on to it. So we know that B, it's not the greatest, but it's better than A, which means we're better than, at least we know better than what we knew before. Okay, now you want to do exactly the same thing for C. All right, so enter again and say if C is greater than B, then we know that C is a max. Yes. Oh, by the way, no. Yeah. So on the previous line where you said B equals max, on the previous line, B equals max, no, max equals B, not B equals max. Okay, because you want to change max, not B. I'm sorry, right? Okay, so now you say max is C. Now at this point, after that statement has been executed, right? Enter, right? And you can do one more enter too, and a comment. You go back and put a comment there saying at this point, max holds the biggest of all three numbers A, B, and C. Yes or no?
well, that's true.
Okay, good. All right, so now you got the max. Now you got to do exactly the same thing for min. People have to help Jay, okay? If there's a typo, because when you're typing, you could have typos just like you're typing anything else. You got to tell, hey, there's a typo, you need to fix that and so on.
We need to flip the signs around.
Oh, you're right. Keep doing that.
Okay, so that is, I think if you run it now, you'll find that you got both the max and min. and then we'll make a change. Also, one of the things is when you accept input, accept it on the same line as the prompt. You can kill it, yeah, kill it. Accept it on the same line as a prompt. It's much nicer for the user. For when you have the what is your first number and so on. Don't print a new line after that. Don't put an end line. Just put a space after the question mark, and that's enough. Yeah, semicolon there, and then a space after the question mark, so that it doesn't run in. Yeah, what? Yeah, there. Okay, great. So if you run it now, you'll see that you get the same values. What's going on?
Oh,
Yeah, somewhere you missed out a
yeah, we need
semicolon.
semicolons.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, you're not reading in B at all. No, you're not even reading in B.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Hmm?
You can have that.
Oh, wait, you're still not reading in B because they're facing the wrong way. The left, it's a left shift.
I'm sorry. What was it? Erica, what was it?
He's got a right shift after CN. On C and B.
Yeah.
It needs to be
Or like they're like
Sorry.
wrong.
I think that's right.
Oh yeah. Like one of them was off, like was facing the opposite direction. It's right now.
Okay, cool.
No.
Oh, when that happens, when click in the code window, as soon as that happens, click in the code window, the black part, yeah, and then Command A. This is Mac or a PC?
PC.
Control A, Control C, Control A, Control C. Right, so that's in your clipboard. The reason I do that every time this happens is that sometimes the page will just go away and get 4 server gone, and you refresh it and your code is all gone. This way it's in your clipboard. Okay, you can refresh it now and paste it back. You'll get a different connection to a different server maybe. Okay, Command A and paste. Yeah, right. Now you can compile and run. There you go. Yeah.
4. 1.
Your max is 4. All right, and your minute. Great. So it works, doesn't it? So it's exactly the same logic. The same logic that I don't know who you guys all coded it up. I think previously it's exactly the same logic. It's just a fewer number of lines, and slightly rearrange things. That's all. And also I didn't know what the comma did. So okay, great. Now if everybody's happy with this, we'll go on to the one more thing here that I want to do, which will expose a problem. Okay, which will expose a slight small problem with this thing, and we'll take care of that. Okay. Hey Nam, you're back in class, but your camera needs to be switched on, or we can't see you. All right, Nam, are you here? Okay, Nam and Charlene, both of you need to have your cameras on, or you got to be talking all the time, right? Or interrupting, and so that people can see you and all. Okay. Great. Everybody okay? Can we go on to the next step here?
Yeah.
All right. So now here's what we want to do. Before also, if everybody's okay with that, you can remove the block comment, because it's or you can put it take the block comment and put it right at the end of the file where you're not going to read it by default. Put it right at the end of the file, right at the end, after right there, and say previous code, and say previous code in there, previous code, comment, previous code. Okay, great. Now let's go to the top of this program. Now, when you say, what is your first number? Before that, you want to get the name of the user interacting with your program, okay? So you want to say, what is your name, and get their name. So, no, you want the blank line there. You want the blank line.
Not here.
Yeah. You want to print a prompt saying, what is your name, and read in the name of the person. No, you want a blank line after that. There you go. See you. And by the way, yeah, even though Jay is doing this, if someone else wants to do it now, someone else also who has who's finding a little bit of a challenge in the earlier class, we're just getting set up and things like that, they can take a chance now. If Jay is okay with that, if Jay is okay with handing over to another person, someone else can take over. Or Jay, by the way, if someone else wants to do it, are you okay with that? Did you have enough practice? Where's Jay? Yeah. Jay, are you okay with this? If someone wants, all right. If nobody else, you're going to continue code. Does anybody else wants to code now? Who hasn't coded? Like, Simon, Yu Yang, Elijah, hey, maybe Charlene or Nam, who haven't been able to, share your cameras. You can code. That way, at least we'll know that you're here. Charlene or Nam, you want to code?
Can I code?
Yeah, okay, Simon. Hey, before you do that, Charlene, Nam, I want to hear from you at least, okay? If you guys are not here, that's not good. But if you're here, let me know if you don't want to code, and then Simon will code.
I'm present and okay with Simon coding.
Nam, what about you? But Nam's not present then. Okay, hey, Simon, go ahead and take the screen. And what you want to do is, no, before you do that, hey, Jay, click that share, orange share button. Right, so put that thing in the chat, put that in the chat. And when Simon shares the screen, he can click on that and go to this code, but it won't let him edit it. So Simon will have to fork. There's a button called fork somewhere, I think, right? And then that will create a new copy that Simon can start editing. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Was that useful, Jay? Was that useful today?
Yes, I really appreciate being able to go to the basics. It's really important for me.
Great. Okay. In fact, we're going to stick with the basics, and everybody has to march together, and then we'll keep going. Only when everybody is up to speed, we'll start doing. And if we're going too fast, it is important for people like Jay to say, hey, the emperor is naked. Okay, someone has to say that, there's no, we can't, what the hell is going on? Most of us can't even follow up, right? So someone has to say that. Otherwise, it's hard for many people. Well, it's my job, really, right? So as a professor and teacher, I'm the one who's supposed to keep looking out for this and saying, hey, some students are not, but it's hard for teachers too, right? Because they sometimes just get wound up in the class and saying, hey, everybody seems to be following along. Let's go as fast as we can. And then we lose sight of the people that are actually here to do the real learning. And so it's up to you guys, not up to you, but please help me, like Jay. Is this Simon now?
Yeah,
Simon?
I mean,
Did you fork the code? Are you able to edit this? Edit some, punch in some junk in there?
nope, I cannot edit it.
Okay, all right, click fork. Yeah, click the fork this button.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Now this is your copy. Now you can edit this. Now, if you click the share button, you'll get a different link altogether. Okay. So any of you or all of you can share the link on Reddit later on, saying, hey, these are the different snapshots. It's fine. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. So Simon is going to ask the user, what is your name? And then in all of the coutts that follow, it's not going to say, what is your first number? Let's say Karthik says, types in, right? And then it's going to say, Karthik, what is your first number? Karthik, what is your second number? So it's got to say that. That's all. Very simple changes, but you got to do this. Okay. So I'm not going to speak again like previously. You guys are going to do it. You're going to ask the name and then print the name. And then you're going to do this. I think this will not work. Okay. I think that there will be an issue. And then that will be a very nice learning point for us. Okay. And say, hey, this is why it's not working. And if you go back to what we were talking about before, now you see that in action. Okay. So you'll actually see that. So why don't you do that? And I'll take a bio break. Okay. I'll go to the bathroom and come back in like a couple of seconds. I'll just be here. All right. No, actually, I'll take a break and I'll be back in like a minute. Okay. So go ahead and do that. Get the name and do that, and also run it. Just run it like before and see that it doesn't work. And then we'll take a look at why it doesn't work. Okay. Yes or no?
Yep.
Good. Right. So I'll see you guys soon. It's called very similar.
I'm not sure, is that right? So int name and seeing the name, and when you like print out what's your first number and first add the name on the top.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Just make sure to adjust the what is your first number to put like a comma and then a space so it's not all bunched up.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
name is a string, not a number.
That's also true. So we gotta
Yeah.
do a different initialization.
Let me see.
Hey,
Hmm?
Simon, this is not a an incognito window, right? It's not a private browser window. Because it's showing you ads at Stevens Creek. Yeah, it's well, that the ads at the bottom seem like you live in Cupertino or somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is that right?
Is that matter?
Because that's so much can be told, even if you don't have personally identifying information. There's a lot of information about you stored in cookies on your browser. So I can tell a lot just by looking at the ads that show up on your screen.
So I need to like close this browser and use the in private browser, right?
If possible, you can do that. Now just no, before you do that, click the share and get the link. Otherwise, you'll lose all the code.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, get the link. You don't have to put it in chat and all. Now just close this browser, open up a private browser and paste the same link in there. And then you can continue editing the same file.
My bad. Oh. Is it good?
Yeah, and did you have to fork it and all?
What? Yeah.
Because it's still no, it is still not a private browser. Is this
It's
a private browser?
Yeah.
Oh, it is private. Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
it's
You have.
private.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So one of the things that people, one of the things that about private browsers in general is that when you have a private browser, it does not mean that it doesn't cookie you and things like that. It still cookies you, except that cookie space is separate. It's a different namespace. It's not in the standard namespace. It's different. So which means that it's still tracking you, but all of the actions inside of that browser. So if you have a private browser open and it's continuously open for 10 or 15 days, and you do a lot of stuff in the private browser, all of that is being tracked. And then in another window inside the private browser, all of that information is brought to bear. That's why if you have all the, in your tabs, you have email and all these other browsing, yeah, you have all the browsers, all these other tabs. All of that information is now filtering into the ads that will be shown here. Does it make sense? So the way to open a real browser, a real private window, maybe, people out there don't know that, right? People using Chrome and all these other browsers in the real world, they don't know this. Probably, I think, right? If you want a real private browsing experience, it's got to be a standalone private browser with no other private browsers in the same program. Because you have two Chromes and one of them is private and the other two privates, I don't know, maybe they share, right? Because there's only one private space. So the way to do it is to go to Explorer or some other browser and open a browser, private browser there. And that's the only private browser you have, right? If you have more, then information will be shared between them. And again, people should, fix typos, help Simon fix typos, right?
Your string is missing the R.
ST. Okay. Okay. Is it good? Okay.
Looks good.
And let's see. C in S and C out. How can I see out the name? Just type like C out S or
That should work.
yeah.
I think Antonio said something before. Was it Antonio? I forget. He said something about a comma and a space somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah.
make sure.
Was it you?
Yeah, just to adjust the actual text afterwards.
Yeah, so do what Antonio said also.
Comma?
So at the beginning of your what is your second number, it's just gonna like at that there's not gonna be a comma or space in between. So from the name to your statement. So just to make it more visually nice. So comma space, what is your name for inside of the quotation marks?
Oh yeah, okay.
No, not there, not there. I don't think that's.
No, and
Yeah.
below when you have the name
This
and
one?
the statement.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, I see. This.
You can take that space inside of the second string, right? You can put the space before the W also. I think that's what Antonio said.
Okay.
Oh, you're
Which
you
one
did
is?
for under what is your name? The the C in there. It has to be the right shift, not the left shift.
Oh,
There we go.
that's good. Okay. So that's what we need, right?
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked, right? What's your name? And first print the name, and then what's our first number? What's our second number? What's the third number? And final is like.
Okay, all
max
right,
name,
all right,
minimum,
okay. Here's
right?
what we want to do. Here's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I should have said this before. In two separate lines, we want to ask what is your first name and what is your last name. Okay, two separate prompts. Okay. Two
Oh,
separate.
the first name and
Yeah,
last
right.
name, right? Okay.
Yeah. So on line 14, you have changed that to what is your first name. Change that to what is your first name, and then change lowercase f because it's in the inside, right? And then also you say
Also, like ask
CM
what's your last name?
last name. Yeah, last name. You get both in two different.
Oh, we need another string, right? Let's see.
Yeah. Hopefully that won't work. Also, while you're doing this, Simon, it's a good, a good habit, good programming habit. Don't use single letter variables for column first and last rather than S.
Oh,
and F.
okay, nice.
Yeah. And lowercase, not F. Yeah, lowercase. Last.
Last. Okay.
No, you don't have to do that. Just say, you get the,
But
you
like,
don't have to.
it's the first name and the last name, right?
Yeah, you're just going to ask for both, but you're not going to, you can only print the first one. That's good. You know, that's
Oh,
enough to
okay.
elicit the error. Instead of S, you want to say first, right? Okay. Yeah. Now this, I think, will hopefully not work. All right, so this one hopefully will not work according to our expectation. Run it, run it.
Just trying. It worked.
Yeah, go ahead, run it. Oh no, it worked. Did it work? How well? Wow. Hang on. I'm
It
trying to see
worked,
why
it
it
worked.
worked. Yeah. I'm trying to see why it worked. Hang on. So CN to first,
Yeah.
CN to last, and then you're reading in a number. Wow. Okay, I need the anyway. So here's what I was thinking why it wouldn't work, because you know that itself I think may be useful. But someone has to do some research, or I will do some research later on, find out why the hell did it work? It shouldn't have worked. Okay, the reason why I thought it shouldn't work is because you ask for the first name and you type in the first name and hit enter. Now, because it is buffered, it will read the first name, but it won't read the enter /n at the end. Okay, so the /n, the new line character, is still in the buffer. So then the next time when you try to read the last name, it is going to read only the new line. Okay, it won't read the actual new, right? It won't read your actual what you type. It'll read only the new line, and then what you typed in will be given as the input to reading in A, which is an integer, and it'll crash, saying, well, no, not crash. It'll, you know, the CN will be corrupted and say, hey, you're trying to read a number from a stream which has a string in it. Does it make sense when you type something in and hit enter? When you do the CN right shift into first, it won't read the enter. It'll only read that, and the enter will still be in the stream. The next CN statement will look at the same stream and will see the enter and nothing before it. And it'll say, okay, you want a string? I got an enter and there's nothing before it, so that string is empty. So that your last name will end up being empty. Now, why didn't it get end up being empty here? Hang on, give me one sec. Why did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. All right. I think this way there was an error, but the error wasn't shown. All right, the error wasn't shown. Yeah. Okay. So we'll make the error shown. All right. So here, where you say after CN, after on line 17, hit enter. On lines, line 17. Go to the end of line 17 and hit enter.
This one?
Yeah. Line enter. Now, you can do a C out here. C out.
See out.
Yeah, C out, and say hello first. Hello first, comma last, or whatever it is. No, hello first, last, right? Hello first, the space last. Hello first, space last, right? Hello first, first. You say hello, hello, right? And space. No W there. Hello.
Okay.
And then space. No, space inside. You know, after.
It's inside. Okay.
Yeah. Now you can left shift first. Outside. And now outside you say left shift first. Yeah. And put spaces on both sides of the left shift. No, first. Left shift and then first. FIRST.
This one?
No quotes, just first.
Just first? Okay.
Just first. 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 And then left shift, another space. Yeah, left shift a space now. Go to the end and put a space, left shift space. No, space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then left shift the last name after that. And then left shift the last name.
Last name. Okay.
Last. There you go. All right. And now we say Endel.
No. Endel?
Okay. Now, if you run this, blank line there. Enter. One more time. Okay. Now, if you run this now, I bet right? I bet. Famous last words this time, right? I bet that it will only print your first name, won't print your last name. Okay. If you say, my name is Simon Zhu, it'll say, hello, Simon, right? That's all. It won't say, hello, Simon Zhu, right? So let's try that. Let's try that.
Try it. Run.
Say Simon. And then now when it asks for your last name, say, all right, okay. Now, famous last words, really. That should not have worked, I think, but it still worked. Why did it read in the /n? Yeah, of course, the rest of it works. All right, I'm going to leave that as homework, like all professors do. Hey, come on, guys, do a really difficult problem. All right, that's homework for you kids, okay? I'll do all the easy stuff. All right, now this is homework for you. Why did it work? It shouldn't have worked because if you do just a CN, it's buffered. And therefore, it would have left the /n in the stream. And the next time you try to read something, it would only read the /n. It wouldn't read what's after that. So something weird is going on there.
If you put if you just put the semicolon instead of the endl at the end, it would probably fail, right?
Where is it?
At the for
After
the
last line?
yeah after the
This
see
one?
out hello. Yeah, if you just put the semicolon instead of flushing, it would probably
No, why?
would that
No,
fail?
that wouldn't. No, because all that does is that it'll print the line and then it won't go on to the next line. That's all. Yeah, and then what happens is that what is your first number will appear on the same line. If you do what Erica said and run it, and you'll see what the effect is, right? Get rid of do what Erica said. Get rid of the endl. And put a semicolon there. No. Left shift also. Get rid of the left shift also. Get rid of the left shift operator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Semicolon there. If you run it now, this is what Erica said. Put a semicolon there. This is what Erica said. Erica, right? Right. If you run it now, you'll see that it'll say, it'll say, what is your last name? And then, no, it'll say, hello, Simon. And then immediately it'll say, what is your first number? There you go. You see?
Yeah.
It works, but just the new line, endl is missing. So you just need to put it back. And then that shouldn't have worked in the past. In the previous invocation, because the /n was there. It's the first time I'm seeing it actually, because I've run into that issue before, where the new line was still in the buffer, and then the next time you do a CN, it reads a new line and won't read what's after that. New line is technically white space, needs to be skipped, but why did it do that? I'll think more about that, and you guys can also do a bit of research and find out.
Okay.
Anyway, so well, what time is it now? Well, it is, we only have 1 more minute. Yeah, so I'm going to think more about this now, while you guys can also think and say, well, what the hell is going on? Unless you have other questions too, right? By the way,
hi.
what's this? Yeah, go ahead, Ruzi.
I just want to say that in my knowledge, the string, if we string and string, the string will automatically ignore the first and sometimes. But it's just ignore the enter that's from the keyboard, but not from the text. If we get the income from it gets the string from one file, that will not be ignored. But if we use string to string will automatically ignore the how do you say it? The
New line.
flash that's from the first enter from the keyboard. But if we change to use something like string.get or getLine, that will not be ignored.
Yeah, getLine will get the whole thing for sure.
GetLine will not ignore the very first. So if we change these two strings to both getLines, then the second string, the second getLine will not, in my knowledge, it will not get the last name. Since
no, if you have
getlines,
if you have getlines for all of the CNs, it'll work for sure. That is no question at all, right? Because getLine is going to get everything the user typed in.
Well, I forgot that the first getLine will get the enter at the last. Oh, sorry. I just I just want to say that's that's, I think although these two scenes, the first scene will not enter the enter at the end of the line, but the second scene will automatically ignore that.
Why is the
That's what I'm
second thing?
trying to-
Why is the second CN ignoring the new line? Is my doubt, right? So it should not have ignored the new line because the first CN left it there. It didn't read it. It left it there. So I'm not sure, but that's something for. That's actually a little juicy tidbit for you guys to do a bit of research on and find out why, right? Or maybe there's a corner case. Maybe there's a situation in which it actually does do that, and I'm misremembering, right? Because this bug I run into many times. Even when, after I've coded for a long time, I've done that accidentally and said, oh, that's why it didn't work. So I'm surprised why it worked here. But other than that, this looks, good. This program did its job. Oh, by the way, all right, as you go on to the quests later on, in quest number, where you have to find the maximum and minimum of 5 numbers, you still don't have to use loops, right? Because loops only is quest number 4. Loops only makes an appearance quest number 4. But technically, here's a question, right? If you had to find the minimum of 5,000 numbers, can you have these 5,000 if statements one after another? No, right? However, you can see that I can have a loop. I can have a loop that says, for first number to the last number, and make a hypothesis saying my maximum is the very first number, right? And in the loop, you're going to keep checking. Is my second number, the second number in the vector, right? 5,000 numbers. Is my second number greater than the first? Then I'm going to change my hypothesis. My second number is the max. Is my third number the greatest, and so on. So in the loop, you can make that change, all right? Well, Peter is here. He's actually late today.
Squirrel?
Yeah. He just comes here to get a cookie fix in the morning.
Does he have a name? Did you say Peter?
Oh, well, there's a whole bunch of squirrels. I call them all Peter. Because I can't tell the difference between, who's who. So I just call them all Peter. And so they all respond to Peter. I think it's
Awesome.
funny. I hope they're not calling each other Peter. Okay, great. Right, so that's all. Simon, was this a useful exercise today? Was this,
Yeah.
did you get anything useful out of it? And Jay said it was useful too, so I'm happy to hear that. Where's Jay? Jay's gone. Jay's oh, there you are. Yeah, right. So I'm glad we managed to address both of your issues. Now here's one thing you can do, right? For next class, we're not looping is only being done in week 4. Yeah, week 4, week 4, right? Technically, we don't have to do looping next class. However, we can do something like this, but bring in looping also next class, okay? On Thursday, we'll do something very similar and basic like this, but introduce looping only, right? No more, just looping. We won't do functions and all, okay? We'll do functions after that, and slowly we'll march forward. And then when we do functions, you'll all be on the same page, right? The same page as the programs that Namrata and Erica and all these people shared, exactly the same. And then we can start there. Is everybody okay with that? Then we'll all be synchronized. Was this class useful? Everybody, not just the people who were looking for the stuff. Thank you all for your patience, especially Jay and Simon for typing and helping everybody. So I actually enjoyed this class, watching you guys code this up and different hypotheses, playing around, changing these things. I think it was fun. Okay, so thank you, and I'll see you on Thursday. Okay, please keep questioning and coding and share information, right? Share anything you discover, interesting things in the forums. Keep sharing in the forums. These are all going to be like super duper useful to you and later on, even if it's not just for participation points now. This will all come back and be useful later on when you actually do need it, right? So thanks. Have a great day. Bye.
Sir, sorry, could I ask you a question after class?
Yeah, Hannah. Yes.
But I also have a question after class, but
Ruji? Yeah, all right. Well, people who have questions can hang around. Unless it's one-on-one, you can just ask when, everybody's gone. And if you want a one-on-one to do with your grades or something like that, then we can have a separate one-on-one, separate Zoom session. Otherwise, you can just ask now.
I also have a question.
Mohammed, yes.
Should I ask now?
Oh, you can ask after Hana. Well,
Okay.
who was it? Hana, Ruji, and then you. Okay, Hana? Yeah.
I can probably go last. I have a separate question, like about a project I'm working on, I guess. So
Yeah, okay, all right. So you can go last. What about Ruji? Ruji?
Sorry, it's not me.
It's me.
No
it's me.
question?
It's
Oh,
me.
Simon. I see,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. His Zoom is kind of lucky.
yeah.
Yeah, lagging.
Can I share the screen? Right.
Hmm?
Yeah. Okay. I will share my screen, and I'm stuck in the quest 2.
No, you can, no, don't share the screen. No, you
Okay.
can share, no question. You cannot share your quest code with
Okay.
anyone, and me, your brother, sister, parents,
Yeah,
friends.
I know.
No, okay? Quest
So it'll
code
be a personal
only
question,
you.
right? It will be a personal question, right?
I'm sorry?
It will be a personal question, right?
Yeah. Everything is
Yeah.
personal only for you. Only for you.
Okay.
You can ask concept level questions, okay? Even the quest code doesn't work. You can say, well,
Yeah,
you know what?
it doesn't work actually. Like
Yeah, so what you can do is take that part alone, make a separate program, and say, in this program, I'm trying to do this, and what can I do, and things like that, okay? So, but you can share quest code, basically, that's all.
yeah, I know.
All right.
Okay. Cool.
Mohammed,
When I-
what about you?
I'm stuck on like quest 2 and I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
All right, so again, so
yeah,
these things
okay. We have the same problem.
I see.
Yeah.
Hey, Mohammed, you should ask, you're asking the forum. Ask.
I
say,
did, but I still can't figure it out.
No, did you ask in the forum? Someone should have replied by now.
They
It's
did,
because
but I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Like I tried to read it and I didn't understand it.
No, you can share. You
Yeah.
can share. You can share.
I
the
didn't
screen
share
or
it.
you can-
I know on the Reddit I asked and they gave me like help, but I still couldn't understand it.
oh, what error are
see.
you getting?
It's not like the problem with the error. I'm getting usage something.
Oh yeah, I see it here. And Erica actually replied to your question.
She did. She was saying like the program where you submit the quest, it'll still run it even if it's not in exe, but when I run it, it's still saying I'm not getting an output.
Yeah. When you run it on your own computer,
No,
it won't run. Right?
and on the program, on your questing program where I submit the quest, it's saying
What does it say? What does it say?
it says it's not getting an output for the limerick one.
It's not getting an output.
Yeah.
What is the exact error message? Well, in fact, what you should do is whatever output screen you get there. Yes, Mohammed, whatever output screen you get, just take a screenshot of that, because that won't show passwords or anything, right? Just take a screenshot and you can post it. Unfortunately, you can't put up an image in a comment in Reddit. You got to start a new post, right? Start a new post saying, this is the picture of my output screen for Limerick to the quest number 2. Why am I getting this?
No, it would run, but it'll say like, oh, there's no output. Like the program didn't get an output.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can say,
Okay.
you can put it there and say, why is it saying my program is not getting generating output? You can ask that question. Yeah, and someone, I think it's pretty straightforward, and you'll get past it very soon.
Okay. When does it freeze, by the way? Does it freeze this week or next week? Quest 2.
Okay, all right. Here's the thing, okay? All these freezing things that I have, these rules, they are there to prevent slackers from slacking, okay? So people like you who are actually working hard and actually trying things out, you get a lot of slack. And so you don't have to worry about it. As long as you're continuously working and trying to learn things and interacting in the Reddit forums, you can assume that freeze dates don't actually apply to you.
Okay.
Yeah, but you got to be, if you just disappear for a few days or, for 5 days gone and nothing there, then I think everything will freeze. You can prevent things from freezing just by being there. Here, the warmth will keep things from freezing.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Awesome.
So personal question now. Yeah, Hannah first.
So, sir, I'm working on making like a snake game, like like the classic snake game.
Mhm.
And I'm having trouble with
On a
this
Mac or is it on a Mac or a PC?
PC. Could I share my screen to show you what I'm having trouble with? Like a coding problem. This is not related to the
Yeah,
problem.
okay. Yeah, sure, sure.
Thank you. So I don't know how to do inheritance in C++. I only have like experience with like Python and Java. So I think it's really
What is going
different.
on? What is going on?
Okay, yeah. So I have the main file. So game 2 is going to be in charge of like controlling the graphics. So then I make a controller object, and the controller object is making a board object. And so the board, I want to do a 2D array. You can see this in my .h file, a 2D array, and I'm going to fill this 2D array up with thing objects, which these wall objects are going to inherit from. So I can fill up like the thing, like I want the wall to inherit from it, the player to inherit from it, the apple to inherit from it. But so I can just fill up this board with a bunch of different objects. But I'm not sure if
What
that's
is
how
not
you-
working? No, what is not working?
So I make a 2D array of things, and I'm trying to fill them. First, I'm trying to fill the walls. And so the wall is being inherited from, the wall is a child class of the thing child class. But I don't know if like, it's saying that I can't assign a thing object to a wall object, even though it's like a
Okay,
child class.
so all right, so here, by the way, okay, there are some in here in that code, there are some serious holes, okay? Because the reason I'm saying that is because you're creating a space on the heap. You're asking the operating system with new to give you space on the heap, yes? And you're assigning it to a variable.
Yeah.
Okay, now that is the only handle you have to that space. Later on, if you want to release that space, that is the handle you have to say, release that, you got, right?
Yeah, because this is like just like constantly being like
Yeah, okay. Now what happened because you're doing the assignment inside of a loop. Oh, I see. You are putting that inside the, so you are storing it. You are storing each of those.
Yeah.
So you have many walls. You have many walls in the board.
Oh, I'm just trying to see if getting it to work first.
What is your wall? Is your wall lots
wall
of spaces, or is it just one character?
The
Is your wall?
The wall is just like the outside portion of the array.
Oh, it is the outside. So it's the outside. So why do you want to do a new there? Why do you want to do a new and?
I'm just really used to coding in Java. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So don't do that. All right. And by the way, I would suggest if you want to do the snake game, here's what I would suggest. Okay. Forget about multiple classes and all, because the basic thing is in any program, in my experience, maybe other ways of development, maybe they work. My is to get the logic right first in a very simple program, right? Before doing all the other objects, getting the logic first. Now, I think if my memory of snake serves me right, you just have a trail of characters moving like that, and then picking up these stars or something like that. You have scattered. Yeah. Okay. So you just need to have that going. Now, my question is, how are you interacting with the user to read these keystrokes? I assume you're going to use arrow keys, up, down, left, right?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I found a library, C++ library or framework called SDL, and I'm hoping to use that to get
No, STL won't give you that. STL will not let you read.
Is it
STL. Did you say SDL or STL?
Yeah, SDL.
Oh, it's SDL. Okay, I thought it was STL. Right. What does SDL do?
It's like a framework for making games. So I think it does like user input and like graphics.
Oh, okay. All right. So maybe, all right. Maybe that, I'm not familiar with SDL, right? So maybe SDL lets you do unbuffered, because in order to do a game like Snake, you need to have unbuffered output. Yes, because you need to read in, if I press the arrow key, you need to get the right arrow immediately, not wait and right arrow enter. Yeah. So in order to be able to read character by character, you need unbuffered output. And typically people use things like curses and other things like, in C++ to do that. I don't know about SDL. So I'm assuming that SDL lets you read character by character. Okay, so now if you read these things character by character, controller. Okay, so it looks like you have some fairly involved logic in here with multiple things. So my suggestion is just take this entire thing, don't throw it away, zip it up and keep it there, and start a new project, which is very, very simple, less than 100 lines. And all that you need to do there is to have a square, and then you're not collecting dots, you're not collecting treasures or anything. All you need to do is use the SDL. You need to be able to control a single star or a single, plus sign. That's all. Okay. There you have this grid and you have a plus sign in there. And when you press the right arrow, the plus sign is going to keep moving right. When you press the left arrow, it moves right. You need to be able to control the motion. That's all. Okay. And that's like less than 100 lines, isn't it? Using the SDL library, I think it'll be less than 50 lines. That's all you need to do. That's the very first step. So the first step is just getting a square grid on your screen with 50 by 50, right? That'll fit on at most screens, 50 by 50. And you have a plus sign or something in the middle. And then the only thing you can do in this game is use the arrow keys and move the plus left and right. That's all. And the next step is when you get the movement going, you need to be able to tell when you're up at the corner, a wall, right? And you can do that by just looking at the bounds of the array, right? You say, if bounds of the array, you don't have to have a special object and all. You can just look at the bounds of the array and say, so you have to keep pressing the right arrow. When it hits the wall, it doesn't move right anymore. It just stays there. No matter, even if you press that, it'll just stay there. But it'll go to the left now if you press left. So you need to be able to control. So controlling the dot, are you able to do that? Or do you have that already working, by the way?
I do not. I was just trying to set the framework up.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Classes.
Yeah.
But I've done
like
I've done this project in like Java and Python before.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel like I'm pretty familiar with the logic. And controller stuff. I'm just like.
I think the way to do it is first to start small and make sure that you can get a screen on which you can control the position using arrow keys in real time, right? That should be very simple. It should be less than a couple of hours of work max, or even 1 hour maybe, right? So get that done. When you have the screen and you can move the dots with your arrow keys, that's the first step. And after that, we can start layering on these other things that you have. You can have the controller, you can have the display part, and so on. In fact, for doing that initial part, I wouldn't even do the model view controller, right? Just do everything in main.
Okay.
Right, and just do it in main, just to make sure that the logic, just to make sure that the mechanics work and that you're able to control. Right now, you've got a lot of logic, but you still don't know if you're able to control it.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing is to make sure that you have control, and then when you have control, start adding on more and more, one bit at a time, while making sure that after adding each bit, you still have control, right? And that way you can reach the end and still have control. Otherwise, you'll reach the end, but you're lost control.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that would be the next step. So do that. Then, these classes and other things you can look at without having to look at the code. You can say, this is what the controller is supposed to do. This is what the display is supposed to do. This is what the model is supposed to do, right? You can look at these separately without having to look at the code and say, and then that, the controller is supposed to do this when the key happens, when this key is pressed, okay? Then you can say, all right, the key has been pressed. This is a controller logic, why is it not happening, right? You can look at each one separately without having to interfere, this interferes with that and so on and so forth. You can look at that separately at the very last stage.
Okay.
So make sure that every part works standalone first and then together.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Was that helpful?
Yeah. I'll definitely work on that first, probably.
Right. The chances are, if you have it working in Java and Python from before, you have most of the logic in place. Okay. The thing to do is to not let that logic tempt you into importing wholesale into C++. Then if it doesn't work in C++, you don't know where things are going wrong. So you have the logic in place. You're not losing it. You don't have to bring it all into C++. You're not losing it. It's all in your head. So forget about it. Let go and start building it from scratch in C++ by just printing this very first thing, that being able to control the position with arrow keys.
Yeah. Thank you. I also have another question, really quick. I finished all the quests, but honestly, I still don't really understand all this memory management stuff, and I feel
Oh,
like
then, yeah.
I feel like this is
um,
like I've been trying to do some Java, C++ projects, and I feel like it's I'm running into a lot of issues because of.
All right. So so here's the thing, okay, Hannah, if you've done Java and all, right? So since you got stuff working in Java, technically, you don't need to do any memory management in C++. You don't have to play around with any memory management. Do some really complex, sophisticated stuff in C++ all of that can be done without having to do any memory management, okay? Memory management is useful in C++ in certain places where you're dealing with dynamic graphs and things like that, heavy duty stuff. That's where memory management is useful. And we'll get to do that, but linked list, trees, everything that actually uses real-time memory can all be done in C++ using STL, not SDL. That's why I was confused before. STL, it's called Standard Template Library. Okay, STL gives you exactly what did you do Java generics? Do you use generics in Java?
What do you mean by that?
So in Java, there's an entire library of data structures. Okay, generic data structures, linked list, hash table, trees, everything, every data structure is available in Java. Right, so graphs, even not graphs. Okay, everything that you need to do dynamic memory allocation for. So in C++, typically you only need to do real dynamic memory on the heap when you're dealing with lists and trees and things like that. Otherwise, you don't need to do memory management. Yes.
Yeah.
So in Java, you use a list and you use a tree, but you're actually not doing real memory management. All of that is handled by Java for you, right? You use a new keyword in Java, but really new is not doing real new like in C++, okay? New is being used in a slightly different context. It is, doing stuff on the heap, it's dynamic memory, but it's not like C++, okay? So, so in Java, however, how you do these complex things using the generics library, that the generics library gives you a tree and a list so that you can use these trees and lists without having to do memory. That is the beauty of in Java generics, is that you can use all these advanced data structures without having to play with real memory.
Yeah.
Right. That is what you get in Java. C++ also gives you that. Okay, we're not using that because we want to know how it does it before you use it. Right. That is why in CS2A we learn about new and delete and things like that, because later on, when you go and do C++ projects, you may not be allocating memory and be doing, very sophisticated machine learning stuff. No memory management, no new, no delete, right? But you know how it's done. And so in C++, it is possible to do it without new and delete. So we should not be using new and delete unnecessarily in C++. But we will use that in, I think, week 10, week 9. We'll start using new in week 9 when you'll have a really solid understanding of how memory management works.
Yeah,
but to answer your question, you don't need to know. Yeah. Because
I saw Quest 9. I didn't do the stuff with the deconstructor and it still worked, but I was really confused.
Yeah. No, you don't have to. Even if you don't do the destructor, what will happen is that when your program dies, everything that's been allocated will be automatically deallocated. So even if you didn't do the destructor, it automatically gets destroyed when the program itself dies. The destructor is useful when you don't want the program to die. Your program has to do more stuff, but I still want stuff that I made to be destroyed to free up memory. That's when you use destructors.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why your program Quest 9 works, even though you didn't do the destructor, is because you got a lot of memory waste, but someone's going to clean up after you. The operating system will clean up after you.
Okay,
yeah?
Thank you.
But later on, we'll write programs in which we can tell the operating system, you don't have to clean up after us because we're clean programmers. We'll clean up after ourselves. So that's what C++ will train you to do later on.
Okay. Also, I was wondering, do I need to move on to the CS2B quests?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everybody.
Will it eat into my participation if I don't, instead do some personal projects and then move on?
Here, okay, Hannah, right? So keep going ahead, okay? 2B and 2C, keep doing the green and red quests on your own, because a lot of my 2B and 2C students today, now, right? They're well ahead of all of their classmates. They're finished and they're just having fun in the forums and they're doing cool things because they've already done all the quests before in their holidays. right? So you should just go ahead and do all of the quests, as many as you can. No, and in fact, make it even better. You're at Pali, right?
Yeah.
You're at Pali. Yeah, my kids went to Pali too. So I know, because a lot of my son's classmates and my daughter's classmates, they're also interested in programming, right? And so I know there are a lot of your classmates who will be interested in programming, doing things. Quest with them, right? Tell them, get them to quest with you and say, set up your own competitions or contests and say, all right, let's see how long. Now you shouldn't be in a bad competition. You say, we'll start, all 5 of us will start on quest number 7, green quest 7, right? Or something like that, someday. And we'll say, let's try and finish it all before the end of the day. And then you can have your own private Zoom sessions or Discord sessions to talk about these things without sharing code. Once you start sharing code with other people, the fun will disappear. Okay. You may think it makes it easier if I share code with other people, but I can tell you the fun will disappear. Okay. The fun is in not sharing the code, but still getting it done. So get your classmates together. Questing is free, right? Everything is free. It doesn't cost me any money at all, right? If cents maybe, right? So just go ahead, get as many of your friends. Even overseas, if you have friends overseas, get them all. It's all online. Quest with them and keep going ahead. But at the same time, because you're enrolled in 2A, you got to maintain your participation. Okay, you got to be making interesting posts in the subforum, right? In the subreddits. Okay, and helping out other people. Right. So Simon posts a question, you could say, hey, you could try this. So do that to get your participation points. But you don't have to be, saying, oh, I got to stop at blue. No, keep going. Right? There's no, even after you finish red, is that the end of computer science for you? No, that is the beginning of computer science, right? After you finish red is when your computer science learning actually starts in many ways. Then you're going to start learning to put everything together to create bigger things. So after red, you're not going to say, I'm done with C++. No, you're going to say, all right, now I'm going to go and look at some of the problems that I would be doing in my grad school with, machine learning or something like that. So you're going to be looking at more and more interesting problems. Ask your dad, your mom, say, hey, we've got interesting problems at work. I can try and do this, challenge yourself like that, but never stop. Don't stop. Okay. And people send me email sometimes in 2B and 2C saying, is it okay for me to start making Reddit posts? Is it okay for me to do this? No, it was okay from day one. From the day you were born, it was okay. Right. And so don't ask for permission for doing these things. Just go ahead and do it. Right. It is your game, it is your life, your game, and you got to keep going ahead. All right. As long as you don't impact other people badly, nobody's going to say don't do it. So you're doing great. You're doing great. Okay. Lots of you are doing great. My only concern is I want everybody to be on the same page. Okay. So I don't want some people up here and some people up here, and then I have to keep doing that. So I want everybody to be together so we can all march together and have fun. That's why I'm saying, slow down, participate and things like that. But if you're able to keep going, people should keep going.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
No worries. No worries. Yeah. You're all doing great. Okay. Thank you. Simon, you too, right? For typing and taking care of things today. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys on Thursday, I hope. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. See you later. Bye.
Oh, Professor. So now it's the personal question about the course.
Yeah. One sec. Not about the quest. Okay. Nam is here. I need to. I don't know. Maybe she's not here. Do you want me to
like the personal room? Because like the Zoom can make the personal room, and you can only.
No. I can just log out Nam. Hang on.
Okay.
I can.
Also,
yeah, I can. Yeah. Someone has to reach out to Nam and say, what the hell is going on? You're not in class and you're not responding at all. Okay. So, gee, it says report Nam. I don't want to report. Oh, you're gone. Okay, good. All right. Okay.
Okay.
So what's up?
Okay. So now, can I share the screen or not?
Is it about questing or not?
A question, because like
no, you can ask
the quest. They didn't give me the code when I passed the second quest, so that's a problem. I could not get the code.
All right. Is that the problem?
Yeah, it's a problem.
Right.
It's
okay.
about
The
only problem I didn't get the full code is the cat.
Draw cat?
Yeah. And I do the same stuff with you, but I could not get 4 point. Like it's like 3.
So there's no sentence, there's no line in the output that says your password is, and so on. There's no line. That means that something is wrong. Okay.
Yeah, I know,
so-
but like I
right?
could not figure it out.
All right. So you can take a screenshot of that page, of that. You can take a screenshot and put it in the forums and say, hey, I thought I finished J or whatever it is, but I'm not
Yeah,
getting the
yeah.
password. But before you post it, make sure the password is not there and you missed it. Okay. If the password is there and you missed it and you thought the password wasn't there, then you'd be giving out the password. So make sure the password is not there and post it in the forums and someone will definitely answer.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I will use it. Let me just try it again. Yeah, it's about like this up. Teacher, can you see?
No, you can't show me the screen. Okay.
What? But like there's no like password any other
let me take
stuff
a look.
over there. Yeah. It just like see it.
All right, so password is there. Okay, the password is there. You got to find out. I can see the password. You can, and you got to find out. Okay,
Is it password there?
you got to find out. Don't you can't write it out now,
Okay,
right?
okay,
So you
okay.
find out on your own.
Oh, it's pass, right?
In your own time. In your own time, find the password. Try it.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you on Thursday.
Oh, so I passed it, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, also, like if I pass it but I didn't figure out the password and like
You can ask. You can ask. I got the full output screen, but I'm not able to see the password. Where should I look? That's a question
yeah,
you can ask.
okay.
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 All
But
right.
like
Good.
the server will not like freeze me, right? Or not?
Sorry. I missed that.
Because like if you don't do the next code for like a few days, the server will like just freeze it, right?
No. If you disappear, nothing. No, the server doesn't freeze. Your scores will freeze, right? So
Oh.
if what that means is that if you're not questing and you're not attending class, you're not participating in the forums, then any quest that is passed as a due date will say that's it. You can't get any more points on that. Okay, but if you're still struggling in a quest, you haven't, if you're still struggling and you're questing every single day and you're posting in the forums, that is still warm. It is not frozen. Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right.
Also, teacher, I post all my code to the Git. Is that okay for?
Yeah, make it a private repo. Don't make it a public repo.
Yeah. It's a private. I just I make a backup of it.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Have a good day.
Okay. All right. You too. Bye.
Yeah.